Hi friends, it's Lori with Main Street Gardener, and I am so excited for today. So we've been under that heat bubble here on the East Coast for, it feels like 2 weeks, and it has finally lifted. I'm so relieved. You're probably gonna see this video after it's been gone for a week and a half or so, but a storm came through last night. It brought cool temperatures, and it's just going to be such a great day to get out and catch up in the garden. I've just been maintaining the garden, really deadheading, watering. That's all I've been able to do the past really about 2 weeks. So today is going to be so much fun. So I have walked the gardens, of course, every day, checking things out. And the main borders behind me, my main garden that you primarily see in my videos, is doing great. We have drip set up, I fertilize, I deadhead. Plants have great compost, and they are doing great, even through the heat. However, I have a couple spots kind of on the outside edges of the garden that I don't give as much attention to. I've walked the entire yard of our property, and I've identified 4 to 5 spaces that are small but need some attention. So I hope you enjoy this small project, small garden videos. Let me know in the comments, and I encourage you to walk your garden, even those, back of the garden spaces, those side gardens we often walk through and ignore. When it gets to be a little bit cooler, you have a break in the heat, it's a great time to address those areas. So we're going to get started today with a beautiful garden space, but one that needs some attention. Let me show it to you. Okay, you guys, so today we're going to start in my tiered garden bed. I think this garden is a great example of a small garden space. So because our property slopes down, I will try to find the original image of this picture when we moved in. It had little steps that went up. But when they designed our patio and remodeled our home, we put steps on the other side. So I really didn't need steps here. And so I decided to just tier it when we put in our patio. So there's 2 walls, one all the way up there that you can't see. That's at the top, and then we have this bottom level. So it also gave me an opportunity to garden, and it's been really fun. Now, my goal with this space was I do see it from my kitchen window, so I wanted it to be pretty, but I also wanted it to be low maintenance, and it truly is. It's been really low maintenance, but I usually do have to come in here at least once a year. Now, if this was in my primary garden space, I would work on it probably more often, but since it's back here in the back, I don't get to it very often. Now, we did add a little fence right here. This hits at the driveway, and we have a little fence right here because we have puppies, and this is kind of a breezeway area. We have our grill here, and then this is our little summer house that is an original stone summer kitchen that's attached to our property. So that's the little windows that you see. Okay, so let's talk about what's in this space. So the bottom is a true shade area. It does get some sun, but you can see I have filled it with a stilby that have just taken over. They love this garden space, and I'm hoping maybe I can even divide them this fall. I have sedum, I have heuchera all along the bottom. They're just massive. And let's see, so the coral bells are doing great. Over on the far side, I'll move over there. I'll show you. I've got some weeds. I do have a juga, and then I have some mums, but those all need to be cleaned up. And there are several weeds, and I don't want the weeds to go to seed. So on the side here, we have some totem pole grasses. They hide this support line, the city pole, and they're just so pretty, and they get those gorgeous grass plumes that come up in the autumn. I also have some black-eyed Susan here, but the grass kind of comes over and it does get in the way of the rose and some other things. So I want to give it a little prune today. Now in the top garden bed, I have lavender. So this year I had to replace my lavender. This lavender is doing great. I want to go ahead and give it a cut back so that we get more. I have a gorgeous Lady of Shalott rose. She went through her first flush, but with all this heat, she's got a few buds, but I want to give her some attention. I think she might have some spider mites or aphids, so we're going to address that. I added these hydrangeas. They're supposed to be little lines. This is the best they've ever done, so they're getting up nice and tall. I have sedum, and I have my climbing rose that is doing great, but yes, it needs some attention today. So we're going to address that. I do have a container in the back in that corner, and the sedum, I think I transplanted, and I think what I'm going to do this fall is move that sedum up the hill to one of the other gardens and put something low right there. I really like the blue container. I'll show it to you. Okay, so this is going to be a really quick project today. I am just going to get after it. I've got my basket back there to put all the clippings in. I've got clips for the roses to get them hung up. And I do have a bigger wagon if I get something bigger that I need to pull out. But we're just going to take after it, make this space look beautiful. And I do need to address the roses. So I've got some kind of high strength neem oil. I'll show that to you, and we will get those roses all treated up and make sure they don't have any harmful bugs on them. All right, let's get this project started. Okay, so I was able to get the rose pruned, took off some of those big branches that were leaning out, not growing in the right direction. I am going to let these grow a little bit more. I'd like to get it trained over, and I think in a couple weeks I could connect them to the line. And that long branch right there, I was able to kind of connect over. So just a little quick cleanup. I am going to spray this rose with some neem oil just to make sure there's no problems with it. And then I thought I'd show you the sedum. It's gorgeous, but I do think I have a better spot for it. My little container up here is doing amazing, but you can see it's not visible like it was in prior years. So I'll either move the container, put maybe like a big columnar, like maybe a columnar. I may move the container and put like a taller boxwood or like a fine line or something in this space. I love this blue, kind of turquoise blue container, and it does so pretty. It's so pretty here. Once the hydrangeas bloom, I can cut them back a little bit, and then we'll see the container a little bit easier. But they are in full bud, so I'm going to just let them go for it. All right, let's move to the dreaded task of the cutback and cleanup in this lower bed. So I think I'm going to start with the mums. I'm going to give them a nice haircut, and then I'm just going to go down, tackle the weeds. Should be pretty quick, so we're just going to get after it. Okay, everybody. So you probably won't be able to notice much, but cut back the mums. There were some weeds all down in that ajuga. Got that all kind of pulled out. You know, you're not going to get rid of everything, but I just don't want it to get too large and take over. And just came along this way. The weeds are suppressed by all of this. It's mainly on the edges. I do have a weed down there at the grill. I'm going to go get it from the other side. And there's a couple weeds on this edge. I'm going to get rid of those. And I've got a big one down there that I've got to get out. But as far as mainly up here, I found a little spot to stand. And so this area's got some ajuga. Of course, I'm stepping on it, but it had a lot of weeds. So it will bounce back. And these mums, I need to remember to take them out this winter. I don't love them in this space. I moved all my mums up the hill and I need to move those out. I think then the sedum will fill in really nicely. So I waited a little while for the bumblebee to move along and then I started cutting back the lavender. It smelled so incredible and it had almost all the petals were gone and it was definitely drying out. My bumblebee friend hung around a little bit, but there's plenty in the garden for the pollinators. So I did want to get this trimmed back. And so I just took my time enjoying the scents, the buzzing of the bees, and just the beautiful day that we had. Okay, so I did work with my little bumblebee friend. He moved on. He's got plenty to pollinate and work with. But I decided to go ahead and harvest the lavender so that we'll get another flush. And this just smells incredible. I'm gonna take this back to my floral studio. I'll make some little sachets for the house. I also like to dry some. So a nice harvest from 2 plants. This is the Sensational Lavender from Proven Winners. I believe that's what I added here. I would love to do a whole drift of it. I had lavender here for 3 years and then all of a sudden it died. So I'm going to see how this one does and then maybe add it eventually. So nice harvest of that. And we will just stick it in this little cup. All right, next up on the list is this rose behind me. We're going to get it all pruned. Okay, so again, this is the Lady of Shalott Rose. She's absolutely one of my favorites. And I'm just going to deadhead some spots, prune some spots. We'll just make her nice and pretty so that I know this entire space has been managed at one time. Now it was time to bring out the big guns, the hedge trimmer, and trim back this totem pole grass. I actually have 2 grasses here. Now I could take these out and put something else, but I love the softness that they provide on this corner where the post is. I also love the autumn plumes, and it's worth taking a few minutes to just trim them back. Now they're very soft, but they do get in the way as we're driving down the driveway, and I like to be really mindful of my garden and my neighbors and just being respectful. So I do keep them trimmed back. I wouldn't want them to scratch someone's car or anything like that. And this year I'm also going to prune them on the back side so that it gives the roses a little bit more room to breathe. The roses do have spider mites and I just want to manage that. So we're just going to tackle this quick job. I like to use the tarp. It just makes it a little less messy. And then I'll haul everything back up to the back to put in the compost pile. Okay, so we got that bed cleaned up. You know, It was probably about an hour project, a little bit of sweat equity. It is humid today. We're at like up to about 80% humidity right now. So while I can feel the coolness, man, I'm just, a sweaty mess. But no complaints. I'm out in the garden and it was really great to tackle this little space. So, I hope you got some ideas for plants, for how to kind of do a shady space where you don't want to weed, to mulch, low maintenance. I truly come out here maybe twice a year. The last step that I want to do is actually treat my roses with some neem max. So this is a cold pressed neem oil by Captain Jack's. We have a church preschool across the street, so they're outside and they are having the best time. I'll probably, the noise reduction will get rid of most of it, but if you hear screaming, that's what it is. It's the sweet little kids across the street at the church. They are just having a blast outside today. So it's a 4-in-1 fungicide, insecticide, miticide, and neemticide by Captain Jack's. It's by Bonide. I'll show you the label. I'm not sure if you've ever used this. But last year the roses across the street got spider mite pretty bad. Mine got spider mites. And so I'm just going to be a little bit more preventative so they get another flush and can just look beautiful through the rest of the season and stay healthy. All right, I'm going to do that and then I'll show you the final garden all cleaned up. Now, I do want to say that you want to do things like this in early morning and when you don't see any pollinators. There's no pollinators right now. It is super early. It's an overcast day. I think it's the perfect time to take care of this. All right, you can definitely smell the neem oil. So now I'm going to go tackle the climber. So let me show you the final space. Now, I did not trim the bottom section of the totem pole grass. There's nothing really underneath it, and I just think it's so beautiful. But we got the roses pruned back and treated for spider mites. We got all the lavender cut back. We got everything weeded. The lamb's ear is just doing great in this space. I'm sure I overdid it planting too, but that's okay. We can divide it this fall. And then this bottom section got weeded. The ajuga is looking beautiful. I also added some things to my fall gardening project list because I do want to move out the mums. I do have some weeds right under the grill that I need to get rid of. But if you're considering a shady spot where you want zero maintenance, I would encourage you to kind of overplant a stilby, coral bells, or heuchera. You could do some low grasses, some sedum, ajuga. Just put it all together, plant it pretty close, and it is going to just fill in beautifully. I really love this mix of colors, shades of green, and all different kinds of textures. I think it just really works, makes a small space actually look larger. If I had just done one plant, I think you would have noticed the size, but because there's different colors, different textures, I think it actually makes the space look bigger than it is. Now, I cannot wait to see these hydrangeas in full bloom. They bloomed just a little bit last year. They've only been in this space for 2 seasons. So I will definitely keep you updated in my July garden tour, which will be all about hydrangeas, how they're doing. But really, really glad to maintenance this space one time. I'll check it again this fall and I'll do probably some dividing, moving some things around, but otherwise it is low maintenance and beautiful. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Today was episode 1 of tackling small forgotten garden spaces. Hope you enjoy this series. I've got at least 4 more spaces that I need to tackle in my garden. Let me know if you have little small pockets of your garden or yard or property that you might need to tackle sometime this year. So I'd be curious to know. I think it's interesting. We all have those spaces, or if you're interested in adding a small garden, this could give you some ideas. So this garden gets some sun and some shade. So I think it's a good example of just having a beautiful, lush garden. It's only 4 years old and it's doing great. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.